Those of you who are in the Jerusalem chapter, by the way, you've heard some of this before, but we're going to do a bit of a broader expansion on it. And those of you who haven't heard me speak, so please understand that this is a very minimal version of a training that usually would take at least an hour and a half to 2 hours, where you would actually begin to implement what we are going to be discussing today. So I'm going to present you just a technique with the various steps and try and tackle those challenges like the two women who said, right, that they have ADHD. So that's one type of challenge, but there are many challenges that come to dealing with your to-do lists. So we're going to try and touch upon them, but this is in no way all encompassing. Okay, so beyond the to-do list, I do recommend if you have a pen and paper next to you to use pen and paper, because I am going to suggest that you write as we go along, like certain just a few steps along the way, sort of 30 seconds a minute steps. You can do it on computer. I am of the old school who firmly believes that writing and reading affect your memory better. And so that's my suggestion, but that's a whole other talk. So we're not going to go there. Okay, here we go. Beyond the to-do list. As soon as this actually works. We tested this before, right, Chava? Here we go. We are going to build a schedule that's firm enough to hold your goals, but fluid enough to hold your life. Okay? Step number one, put it on paper. So if you do have a piece of paper, if not on your computer screen, this is what people refer to as the brain dump. Okay? You're going to clear all the mental clutter and take it out of your brain, because when it's sitting in your brain, it reduces your focus, it overwhelms you, and you can't concentrate. So instead of stretching your bandwidth, basically you're going to dump everything that's in your brain onto a piece of paper. So take a minute, 60 seconds, and just write down anything that you have down, anything that's on your to-do list, down on a piece of paper, get it out of your brain, let the paper hold it for you. Okay. All right, ladies, whatever you're up to, whatever you've already put down, that's fine. Okay. Obviously, when you would do this properly, you would invest a significant amount of time to dump things. Also, for those of you who are ADHD in particular, but anyone else who, as they're working, gets this brilliant idea, and all of a sudden your brain wants to follow that shiny coin and follow that idea to its new direction, but you're really supposed to be focusing on a different project. That's what that to-do list that you've just created is for. You take it out of your brain, just lift it and put it down, write it down onto your piece of paper. And so that paper is holding it. Another way to do it is you have sort of a cork board or a project board. I have one in the back of my office usually, and you put a big marker on a piece of paper and just stick it on the board, and the board's going to hold it for you. So it doesn't disappear, but it doesn't take up space. And so we've already, just by doing this little exercise, you're reducing stress and you're maximizing focus. Okay, so that's your first step. And your second step now, when you look at that list, very often we have these small little to-dos and then we have these big project to-dos. Okay, so I want you to take just another couple of seconds, look at those big project to-dos and break them down to tiny little steps, really as small as possible. Okay, so if I want to build a conference, so it's creating my contact list, it's the marketing, it's creating the outline, it's all the different steps that I would require to do it. So just take another couple of seconds, and one of those big to-dos, break it down. Just practice that for a minute. Okay, and any questions that arise as you're doing this, obviously write them down, and then I'll try and answer them at the end. Okay, and how you personalize this obviously is a private conversation, which you're welcome to take advantage of. I'll give you my Calendly at the end of the session, and we can do that as well on a personal level, how you apply this. Okay, so right now you basically have your long to-do list. You've broken it up into tiny little steps. Tip, what we call the 2-minute tackle. If it's going to take less than 2 minutes, don't even put it on the to-do list. Do it right away. Okay, and then you get rid of them instead of building up. Sometimes we do get all those to-dos, those 2 minutes, and they're stressful. So then we'll get to blocking time, but then you'll create a list of all those 2-minute to-dos and you'll have one block of time, but we'll get to time blocking in a minute. In general, if you just have to send off a message, just have to write something down, don't even put it in the to-do list, do it right now, get it over with. Again, we're trying to reduce the stress. We're trying to reduce the things that you have to focus on so that your bandwidth stays centered to what you need to be working on right now. Okay, and that's step number one. We've put it on paper, we've delineated, it's all detailed. Okay, moving right along. Step number two, what we call the spotlight selection. And here is where you decide your priorities. Okay, so those of you who are familiar with Stephen Covey, right, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So if you look on the right side of the screen there, Covey's 4 quadrants, we are trying to stay in the top right quadrant, okay? The not urgent, but important. Okay, if you're in the top left, urgent and important, that's when you are constantly stressed, you can't focus, you're running around, everything is important, everything needs to be done now. You like, my shoulders are rising. I don't know, anybody feel their heart rate going, right? Where you feel, oh my gosh, I need to do it right now, and you can't breathe. That's right, one quadrant. We don't want to be there. That's high stress. Okay, if you travel downwards, urgent and not important, those are the people who are, I have so much to do, I have so much to do, right? But none of it really is significant. None of it really needs to be done because nothing will happen if you get to tomorrow and it wasn't done. None of you are like that because you're entrepreneurs, right? So you're only very focused, I'm certain. Okay, if you continue counterclockwise to the not urgent, not important quadrants, that's really not entrepreneurial people because that's where, well, nothing's urgent. I don't have to do it now, and it won't really make a difference if I do it anyway because not really important. That's a bit of a sad life. We all know people like that. And that's right. What we want to be in is the not urgent, meaning I don't have to do it this second. I'm not stressed under pressure, but it is important. So it needs to be on my to-do list. And that's where we're trying to veer to get the majority of our time into the not urgent and important section. When you follow these steps, you basically veer your life into that section. Okay, so our next step, therefore, to get to that section is going to be looking at that list you created. Okay, so shift back to that list you created and just highlight with a highlighter or circle or however, indicate 3 to 5 priority items. Right? If you're planning tomorrow's schedule, for example, you're going to choose the 3 to 5 things that you are going to do tomorrow, and everything else is not even on the list. You're almost like putting blinders on. Okay, if you're a person who has difficulties focusing, later on, you'll just copy those few things onto a separate list. So if your blinders don't work, but generally, you're just going to put your blinders on. Now you're highlighting those 3 to 5 priority items, and only those items are on your to-do list now. The others are being held. The paper is holding them. They're not disappearing, but you're only doing those, okay? And you're visually highlighting them. Once you have what your focus is, okay, now I know tomorrow, this is what I have to do. Okay, so then your next step is to start budgeting that time. There is no such thing as time management. It is a fallacy. You cannot manage time. There are 24 hours in every day. There are 60 minutes in every hour. It does not change whether the sun rises or sun sets at different times. It doesn't make a difference. It's not going to change. You can't manage time. You can manage yourself and you can figure out how you're going to budget your time just like you budget your finances. It's the exact same concept. Okay, so you're going to define the boundaries of your work. How are you going to do this? Look at those priority tasks that you've created, and you're going to assign a specific amount of time to each priority task. Okay, so creating the outline for my next workshop, I'm going to set aside an hour to do that. right? I have a list of 5 phone calls to make. That's going to be a 45-minute slot, whatever it is. Okay. You're deciding how much life currency you're investing before you even start working. Now, some of you are going to say, that's a waste of time. Let me just get started. Doing all this is going to take me an hour in the morning. Guess what? It might, at least when you start. I will promise you, but I'm promising that if you do this, you will find that you are significantly more productive. You are significantly more focused, and you are significantly calmer when you begin to work. Okay, so it's a bit overwhelming. It's a beginning, but it ultimately pays off. Just like any investments, we're talking about budgeting. It's like any investment. Okay, when you're creating those time definitions, when you look at those items on your to-do list now that you've chosen, those priority tasks, and you give them those time definitions, you need to remember a few things. Number one, the 10-minute limit. If before we had the 2-minute tackle, we now have the 10-minute limit. There is no such task that takes less than 10 minutes. For some of you, by the way, this might be a 15-minute limit. Everyone's going to figure, but nothing takes less than 10 minutes. If it got onto your list, it needs that time. Okay. Second rule here, buffering is bliss. You decided a task takes half an hour. Guess what? By definition, when you put it into your calendar, it's going to be 45 minutes. Okay. It's taking an hour. No, it's taking an hour and a half. You need to create that buffer. Worst case scenario, you've got time to get up and get an extra cup of coffee. Maybe you'll do that yoga routine you thought of. That's your worst case scenario. Even worst case scenario, you'll finish all your to-dos early, you'll go back to the list and add in another task. Wow. Okay. But you do that by creating your buffer zone. By the way, guys, you all need to eat. So just make sure that you block in, right? Time for lunch, time for breakfast, all that stuff. Okay, so that's our clock commitments. We have budgeted our time, decided how much time each of our tasks are going to take, right, the next day. You haven't created a schedule yet. You just decided how much time each task take. Okay, now you're going to implement it. Okay, now you can stick it into your calendar. Okay, this is what we call time blocking. Some of you might have heard of this in the past. But basically, you want to look at your calendar and say, okay, I'm working from 8 to 4, right? Let's say, or today is a short day, you're working from 9 to 3, whatever it is, right? You have your amount of hours. In those amount of hours, there are things that are set. You have meetings, you have clients, you have your lunch hour, there are things that are set, okay? Now, aside from those things that are set, how many hours do you have left? If you have 5 hours, but the tasks that you've chosen take 6 hours, that's not going to work. Okay. On the other hand, if you have 5 hours and you have 4 hours worth of tasks, you can add a task. Okay. So you need to make sure that they balance. Once you've got the balance, so the number of hours adds up, now you can choose what you're putting into each calendar slot. Okay, so you have a slot from 10 to 11 in the morning, and you're going to put the working on the outline in the 10 to 11 time slot. You have a slot from 2 to 3 in the afternoon, and you're going to put in whatever assignment there. Okay, and you basically, it's like a puzzle. You're taking off of your priority task list and you're putting it into your calendar. And now you've created a schedule. Okay, now you've created tomorrow's schedule, and then life happens. Then life happens. It's the kids, it's the boss, it's the colleague, it's the emergency, it's the neighbor, it's a who knows what. It's a you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or you woke up menopausal or PMS. I don't care what it is, but it's the something. Life threw you a curveball. And when life throws curveballs, we've got 3 things to remember. Okay. Number 1, revise. Okay. Shift a little bit, not tremendously, but a little bit. So if you gave it an hour, maybe you're going to give it 45 minutes. If you figured you need 45 minutes for travel, maybe you need a little bit less, or maybe you need a little bit more. You're just going to shift a little bit. That's revise, okay? Remove, right? Sometimes you really need to delete something. That's all there is to it. There is no other choice. Sometimes you need to delete something off of your list, okay? After you've, right, then you have, sorry, hang on a second. I just lost my screen. Okay, so once you've done revise, remove, you then have reschedule. Sometimes you really just need to stop and backtrack. Okay? You can't just shift a little bit. You can't just delete one item. You have to go back to the beginning, look at your priority tasks, look at your calendar, and create a whole new schedule. And it's all okay because this is your list and this is your time, and you get to make those choices. So it doesn't live up to what you wanted it to be, it doesn't live up to expectations. Step back, be curious, say, what do I do with this now? Okay. And you're going to catch that curveball. It works. Okay. You've got your calendar coordination, you have tomorrow's schedule. And yes, okay. Once you have tomorrow's schedule, then there's a step beyond that. Okay, so we've just done a technique essentially, highlighting certain challenges that come along the way, and you've learned a technique of how to create scheduling. But there's all sorts of other things that A, step in your way, or B, can add to this. First is Brendan Burchard's three-way planning. I suggest that you look him up. He's got a great TED Talk, I think it is. You can find it on Spotify, you can find it on YouTube, but he speaks about three-way planning, where instead of just doing this from today to tomorrow, and so you're really just planning, okay, right now, tonight, I'm going to plan for tomorrow, but you're actually going to do this on a regular basis. So, okay, tonight, I'm going to do this for tomorrow when I'm nice and calm, but not exhausted. I'm going to sit down and plan tomorrow. But then tomorrow morning, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to review my schedule because now it's really implemented in my brain. I don't even have to look at my schedule. My body knows, my brain knows, and I am on the go. I don't have to look at the schedule, right? I planned it, I reviewed it, and I am ready to move. Okay, it's a certain motivational skill. It works. So that's your AM and your PM preparation. But beyond that, you then start doing this. Once you get the hang of it, you start doing this on a weekly, on a monthly, or even a quarterly basis. So now we're in June and you're looking towards Rosh Hashanah and you want to send out your New Year's cards. You know exactly how much time in advance you have to create that and then send it out so it actually gets the people on time and you're not rushing at the last minute. Okay, so too, by the way, for life, let's say we're looking at the same period of time, Rosh Hashanah, and you have to plan for your family coming and you have to cook for 30 people. How are you going to fit that in, but still continue working, right? Same thing. You can have a work schedule, a home schedule, but it works the exact same way. Okay, so you've got your AM, PM, and you've also got your strategic forward thinking planning. Number two, there are emotional hurdles. And these are things that we all recognize. Okay, perfectionism. Like I said, the schedule doesn't always happen the way you want it to. And if you set aside 45 minutes to work and the 45-minute buzzer went, you got to set it aside. It may not be perfect, but you set 45 minutes to do that task. You really need more time, you'll set another 45 minutes tomorrow. But if you thought it needed 45 minutes, then that's where you're going to cut the line. That's where you cut it off. And it is what it is, and it's good enough. Okay, so that's your perfectionism. Obviously, there's a lot deeper, and we cannot go into that in this session, but there are a lot more other things to discuss in that realm. Procrastination. Procrastination comes because you don't know what the heck you're doing, or there's way too much to do. Okay, those are the primary reasons for procrastination. If there's way too much to do, well, you just learned the technique how to deal with way too much to do. Okay, if you don't know what the heck you're doing, recognize that. Stop and say, why am I running away from this? Why don't I want to do it? And ask yourself, okay, what don't I know? And then you look around your team. We're all in this room have different skills, and you ask someone for help. Chat GPT, right? Chat, Claude, Gemini, whoever you choose to use. There's so many tools out there, but recognize that you don't know how to do this task, or this task is too big for me, and you seek that assistance. But that's where procrastination comes from. It's okay. It's part of life. We all do it. Recognize it instead of pushing off that task so that if we go back to those 4 quadrants of the Stephen Covey, you don't end up in urgent and important and highly stressed. Okay, recognize it for what it is. And number 3 is the priority setting, which again, go back to Stephen Covey. That's what we spoke about. What's most important here? Most important might be because of time constraints. Most important might be because you deem it importance. Okay, some of you, just guessing, some of you might be every day dealing with what needs to be done right this minute, right? That's urgent and important. And then those big projects, those dream ideas never get to. When you priority set and you create this schedule, then you've said, okay, out of those 5, 6, however many hours that you have in the day, you're going to set 5 hours for what needs to get done. But you're also setting another hour for that dream project that you never get to. Because now you've made a choice and you've set it as a priority and you see it very visually, very clearly, and you've taken control of your time instead of time controlling you. You've budgeted it. Okay. So that's the emotional hurdles. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the role of well-being, because that is one of the main focuses that I do talk about. You'll see the role of well-being and then the drop down acrostic, right? It says pi is the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, the spiritual, and the social. That's like a whole, 3 hour workshop or even a course unto itself. But I will say like this, if you get to 4 o'clock and you feel like you're falling asleep on your face, odds are you didn't drink enough. And if you get to 4 o'clock or even 10 o'clock in the morning and you're feeling hangry, odds are you haven't eaten. Okay. Those are your basic well-being. You don't take care of your well-being, none of this is going to work. You're still going to be high strung. You're still not going to be able to focus. And so, yeah, it means investing time. Again, it's all about investment, investing time in what's important. But when you invest that time, you become more productive, less stressed, more focused, and all of a sudden your bandwidth is that much broader. Okay, so I've touched upon a few things here that really are entire workshops unto themselves, but those are the general ideas. And obviously, anyone who wants to discuss more of this is invited to schmooze with me. Just take a moment before we end and try and identify the emotion that is rising up for you. I'm not going to do a round because we don't have enough time, but there might be a tremendous amount of overwhelm, frustration, stress, all that type of stuff. Okay. There might be a tremendous amount of excitement for some of you, like, wow, now I think I can really do this. All of that's okay. Okay. The excitement, yay, I'm excited for you. The resistances are really normal. Just recognize them. Even write them down at the top of your to-do list. Put it out there. It's a word, it's an emotion, it exists. That's what you're experiencing right now. And now you get to take a step forward from that emotion. So, yeah, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Yeah, I'm feeling stressed. Yeah, this terrifies me. No worries. We got it. Step on, right? I've even had with clients, I put it on a piece of paper. We'd step it on the floor, put it on the floor. She stands on the piece of paper and then she takes a step forward off of that piece of paper. So you can really physically do that. But whatever you are feeling after all of this got flown into your face, is completely legit. Okay. And lastly, a really lovely quote from Leonardo da Vinci: time stays long enough for anyone who will use it. It's up to us. It's not anybody else. When you utilize time for yourself, when you budget it, there is enough time. That's just the bottom line. It's a matter of practice, creating habits. It is hard. I'm not saying what I just said in the past half hour is easy. It is hard to do, but like any habit, once you start implementing it, then you really, really can succeed. Sometimes you need a little assistance along the way. That's fine, but you really can truly succeed. Thank you. So lovely it's so exciting to give this to all of you guys, I have to say. Anyone who wants to continue this conversation, that's the QR code on the left that has my logo in the center. Okay, I will put it in the chat with links as well. And anyone who is interested in getting a summary plus checklist of what I just discussed, including the various tips, that's the right-hand QR code. Okay, it'll take you to Google Forms and you send it and I will, probably not tonight, but I will send you the form within the next 24 hours. You should receive it. Okay, so I'm gonna, and that's all my information. Obviously, anybody who wants to look me up.